Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Hello and welcome to Twin Bill, the podcast that has Razzie Mania. We're talking about movies that won the Golden Raspberry, or not won, nominated for Golden Raspberry Awards. As always, I'm Jason Luna, accompanied by my twin brother and co-host Marcus Luna. How are you doing, Marcus?
Hang in there. Kind of a forever cold, but with power of cough drops and cold drinks, we'll get through this.
Yep. Won't extend you too much talking. I'll do all the talking this week. I'm just kidding. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm also doing fine. Still looking for work, but I did have an in-person job interview this week, and I'm auditioning for Universal Studios scare acting this week as well. So that should be fun. Yeah.
Best of luck. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, adult leprechaun.
I can tell you. Let's get that. That'll hurt my throat. Okay, can't do that anymore.
All right. Speaking speaking of, there's no transition there. Hurting your brain. Did you watch anything this week?
Took me forever. Apologize for our slowness for watch everything to you interviewers, but finally finished Wonder Man, and
Yeah.
I think I overall liked it, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it has the problem a lot of these quote unquote original idea Marvel shows has, which is it was like, oh, they're gonna really do a show about acting, and then it got kind of interesting, and then they kind of rushed in a superhero plot and a character arc for especially the Mandarin slash Tony, whatever his name is. It was fine. Speaking of Marvel, you haven't watched the one shot on the Punisher yet?
Yeah, I guess it's best to watch that before or after season 2 of Daredevil Born Again.
Technically doesn't matter. I would say probably it's hard to say.
Sounds
It's
like
not
you want to talk about it, so maybe before.
I wasn't a fan of any. I'm not a fan of anything with anything on the quote unquote dark Marvel stuff, but they're not related, but they are thematically dark. So probably best to finish with the Punisher just because it's one thing and it's short. But whatever, doesn't matter. Movies, folks. Okay, I want to briefly touch upon. I watched that and also watched because the taping schedule. I watched two movies on my trashy thing, and this time they weren't porn. What are the odds? Or a softcore comedy
We
film.
get it.
Uh, uh, uh,
Nudie pic, nudie pictures, as the classy people like to say.
yes, I watched the first two movies in the Trancers franchise. The very low budget attempt by, I think it's called Full Moon Pictures, or there's another name for it. Yeah, Andrew should look this up.
Sounds
Whatever.
like they have a logo similar to Amblin with the ET kid in front of the moon with like any like
Yeah,
full moon pictures.
trying to look up. Oh yeah, Puppet Master Company. Oh yeah, I guess Full Moon is fine. I think there's something else, but Charles Band. Oh my God, I'm wasting time looking this up.
Great podcasting going down a rabbit hole in the.
Yeah, I guess he just likes to call it Full Moon now. I thought there was another name for it, but straight to video ish company. they did all the Puppet Master movies, and anyway, they're a quote unquote mainstream science fiction franchise, at least in the late '80s, was Trancers. Tim Thomerson, which is not important of a name, but whatever. He's a cop from the future who travels back in time, and for some reason, it doesn't really pay off that well visually or anything. In the Trancers universe, you travel back in time by inhabiting a body, a la Quantum Leap or something. And the Trancers are basically much easier to shoot zombies. The bad guy flips a switch, and affected
Helen
people.
Hunt's in Trancers.
What?
Helen Hunt's in Trancers.
And Trancers too. She apparently really needed the work at the time. Yes. The love interest, no less. Yeah. So the bad guy flips a switch. They turn into like zombies, but they're more like remote controlled henchmen. It's fine. Competently made garbage. All that for that. Not worth it, but
Tim
watchable.
Thomerson, if you squint, especially in the poster for Trancers, you could see Peter Weller instead, which is a much more pleasant image.
In fact, when I was a kid until very recently, I thought Peter Weller was in Trancers because he's in a different movie called I think Screamers. It's very similar. It's a very deep wormhole we're going into, but Tim Thomerson, yep. He was in a horrible episode of about the '80s Twilight Zone about a stand-up comedian who dies and goes to hell. Or no, it doesn't go to hell at first. He goes to like intermediary land or whatever, and he does a stand-up set about his life, and he's forced to tell jokes that reveal how horrible of a person he is, and he gets booked in hell because of satire. Oh, I hate that show. I hate that show. Okay, all right, enough. That was a long segment. Okay, that movie didn't Transfers or Twilight Zone did not touch me. I was not touched by love, which is what we're talking about today. So let's just get right into it with the breakdown. So, Touched by Love is a 1980 film directed by a man named Gus Triconis. I imagined a surly Greek American man wearing sunglasses, being like, either being like, "That is good, no need for second take," or "Please,
one of one of one of the uncles in my big fat Greek wedding series or something.
yeah," or "Diane Lane, please, can you be more cerebral palsy, please?"
Have you tried putting your kid with cerebral palsy in Windex?
Yep. So, Cinema Files might. I don't think you can recognize Gus Chaconis by looking at him, but he is famous because he played. Did you ever watch West Side Story, the Robert Wise classic?
It's another Q Jason going, what? No, I have not seen that yet.
So yeah, he's in the Puerto Rican gang. He's not even the most famous guy in the Puerto Rican gang. That's Bernardo. He's the other one, Indio. That was his claim to fame. That is his claim to fame forever.
I've heard of Pajama Party.
Yes, he played Beach Boy or something like that. And
I see on Wikipedia it's probably a typo. Pajama Boy number 13. It's probably supposed to be pajama.
maybe he's a more. No, there's no good joke for Pajama. It's not racist. Okay. Moving right along. So he's definitionally a director for hire. What I would call a no hit wonder. There is no iconic. This movie, Touched by Love, is probably it. Maybe, but he did haunted a Simpsons esque, just so generic haunted house horror movie in the '70s called The Evil. Great title.
Yeah, it's Treehouse of Horror number 2 at the costume party where Grandpa Simpson says everything's evil.
Yeah, evil, evil. Yes,
Grandpa, I keep saying everything's evil. I just want attention or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, he made this movie in the '80s, and then his big claim to fame for me He directed one episode of Quantum Leap in like 1993, where the a Trancers esque character who travels through bodies ends up in a Vietnam veteran who is mistaken for Bigfoot, because that's a plot. Really big, hairy Vietnam vet, or it's probably more convoluted than that.
Member of the Whack Pack and Howard Stern.
It's a great podcast. It is. That's the most polite Bigfoot impression possible. By the way, in a very bizarre turn, like a year after Touched by Love came out, which spoiler alert is about a young girl writing a letter to Elvis, he made a movie called Elvis and the Beauty, which is also a true story. Actually has Elvis in it, played by Don Johnson, and the plot is basically like in real life. Elvis met a beauty queen like a year before he died, and they were living together. It's called Elvis and the Beauty Queen. So that's the illustrious career of Gus Draconis. This movie is written by Hesper Anderson, top 10 Hesper of all time for sure. Mostly did TV, but in a very strange flex for a screenwriter's career, she wrote the first draft of the Marley Maitland Academy Award winning Romance in a Deaf School, Children of a Lesser God.
Have you
And she
seen
wrote
that?
and she wrote it with the playwright who wrote the original play.
Have you seen it?
No.
It's very good. I mean, it's kind of a you could view it as a saccharine drama, but I thought it was very good.
Yep. And based on my research, it seemed like the original draft of the screenplay was largely butchered or in a more polite way changed before it won the Oscars and stuff. But yeah.
Much better movie featuring uh tons of disabled kids and stuff.
Well, big step is well, they did cast a lot of people in Touched by Love who had, but cast all your people to have the thing that you say they have. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
uh, this movie is based on a memoir, so there's a secondary writing credit for Lena Canada. Kind of sounds like a detective or what's not a Canada? Oh, like a gangster. It's a
I was gonna
pseudonym.
say part of that Canada stable in 1997 WWF.
Oh yeah. Oh the wait, which one? Which one?
Survivor Series.
Canada stable.
Wasn't it Canada versus US in the Survivor Series?
Oh, I get really confused. The first time I went to the
Vader came out with the American flag.
yeah, so who the fuck was, oh yeah, it was oh my god,
It was
okay.
that tag team.
This is the weirdest episode ever, but
French Canadian guy in the
American guy or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
LaFond and for Ferdinand. Oh my god, something like that.
Furnace and LaFon.
Yes, and there was two other ones.
Yeah,
It might have been the Quebecers, which is the worst version of the Quebec. Well, no, they're still called the Quebecers. They were much worse than the regular Quebecers. Anyway,
moving on.
yes. All that to talk about Lena Canada, who was actually a young doctor who met a girl. So on the Wikipedia stuff, it seemed to imply that who knows, this might not have none of this may have happened, but it probably did. And she wrote a book about it. There's Google's Lena Canada is not a notorious enough figure for someone to write a tell-all article about how this book's a lie or anything. So the weird thing about this book, of course, and movie, is it makes Elvis look like a freaking saint, which to me is weird, but good for him.
I mean, I don't know if we're getting to Elvis's legacy on this podcast, but
It's problematic at
he
best.
did he did make a lot of people happy.
And he liked young girls. Hey, oh, groomed his wife when she was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Anyway, No, yeah. I mean,
I
if you
think he
got a
was
fan, go ahead.
he had a good relationship with his fans. So it's,
Yeah. And did you watch the YouTube version I sent you?
yes, I watched the bumper clip of the girl from New Mexico who had cancer.
And there was no insight into Lena Canada or Karen Brown, but very similar story. He spoke very kindly to a little girl who had cancer and
Invited her backstage, signed a poster for her. Very
referenced her in his performance. So who knows? But I guess you have to kind of give the memoir the benefit of the doubt because it's the only resource I have.
he
Uh,
was a druggie. He was a druggie who had underage girlfriends, but other than that, he was a saint.
yeah,
Perhaps
you know,
I don't
if
know for certain.
I don't know who said that quote. Something like people are multitudes. They're not one thing.
Was it Furnace and LaFawn? We're killing the podcast with these trying to search for answers.
Doug Furnace and Phil LaFon. The multitudes. It's gonna be a lost episode. Okay. This movie is produced by a man named Michael Viner, and I think the first time we come across this in a movie, he was married to Deborah Raffin 6 years before this movie came out. So he probably really liked her audition. You know what I'm saying?
So they were still married when the movie got made.
Yes, they got divorced when they were. I think I wrote it down somewhere, but much later, but not during this time. Yeah, yeah. He produced a lot of lot of weird movies. Uh, yeah, the best one to me is okay. It's a 1983 movie in a very romancing the stone kind of way. Deborah Raffin is a scientist who hires Peter Fonda to help her investigate a race of reptile men who live in the jungle. My question to you is, what would you call this movie? Give me a title.
Probably action horror,
Yeah, it's like it's. I'm trying to think of an A movie example of this, but there's like a lot
like
of
the
B movies.
Predator, kind of. But
Yeah, what'd you call it?
Predator's an action movie with like horror elements because they're getting hunted by the predator. But
Okay. Anyway, whatever you guys say is me wrong. The movie's called Dance of the Dwarfs. Because of course it is.
oh, sorry,
It's a hypothetical thing, and
I
then
looked at the poster on IMDb of Dance of the Dwarves while you were talking.
wow, that was some fast research. You find all right.
You
Moving
said
on.
that movie in 1983. He has 17 credits. He's not a freaking oh, it's a
But
great podcast. Name insert name of prolific producer. He's not that.
something. Oh my God, we can't do this names on top of our heads thing. But yeah, the guy who did Rosemary's Baby, the Robert, not Robert Vaughn. Oh my God, whatever. Moving on. Some reference. Uh, in the weirdest part of this movie, probably music by John. I'm too good for this shit. James Bond. It's John Barry did the score for this movie. I like the score. It's in my top three elements of this movie. I enjoyed a lot. It's very classical, melodramatic score. Good job.
Inserted Elvis songs. I liked it.
And the same year, he scored the very excellent film you probably haven't seen. Not as not as much of a flex as West Side Story, but Somewhere in Time with Jane Seymour and Christopher Reeve. One of the best emotional melodramas ever made. Did the score for that the same year, so John
And he
Barry's killed.
conducted Raise the Titanic. That had a more bombastic score.
Score was fine in that too. It got a little repetitive because they had to really raise the Titanic, if you will. It was boring, but yeah. All right, let's get into the cast. Uh, we have, as briefly mentioned, Deborah Raffin as the young doctor Lena Canada, starting her new job at the special needs school. She is an alum of in a way, of the Twin Bill podcast because I did mention this back when the Neil Diamond jazz singer movie was falling apart and the first director was fired. Uh, at one point, Deborah Raffin was ready to play the Lucy Arnaz love interest character. I probably would have preferred Lucy Arnaz, but I don't think I care that much, honestly. She had a lot of,
Probably end up, I'm gonna probably end up defending Deborah Raffin, but we don't need to do that now.
yeah, yeah. She would have been a fine jazz singer, whatever. But yeah, she did a lot of weird B movies like Dance of the Dwarfs. I wanted to mention one that sounds really cool. I've always liked Larry Cohen, the trashy horror director. He made a movie in 1976 called God Told Me To, where there's a bunch of murders, and all the murderers claim they were directly told to do it by God. She's in that, so it might be worth a watch. Who knows? And then our most controversial, not so much casting as much direction, I guess, but Diane Lane is Karen Brown. Yeah, I was gonna, yeah, Karen Brown's kind of a generic name. Yes. This basically launched the Diane Lane career train.
Did you
Uh,
catch in the credits when it said to all the Karens?
I did notice that in hindsight that aged very poorly, but back when people like Karens,
Karen used to be a sweet, innocent girl with cerebral palsy.
I don't think it really
Now it
meant that.
means,
I don't think it really meant that either. But yeah, whatever. Yeah,
well, Karen Brown is a real person.
yeah, but I don't know how what's the word, endemic to culture, the Touched by Love not memoir
No,
was.
I was,
But
obviously it didn't become a widespread catchphrase or knowledge, but it's kind of being sarcastic. And
you don't really need a nickname for a girl who's nice. That's kind of demeaning to me. But call them by their name anyway. Hot take. Uh, so of course Diane Lane is known to a lot of people from Unfaithful or Under the Tuscan Sun. To me, she'll always be Cherry Valance, the Soch that befriends Ponyboy, and Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders. She's in the yeah.
yeah, she's kind of, I haven't seen a lot of her movies. She's very prolific, but
She does a good well, Miss
oh,
what?
can't believe you didn't reference Martha.
How did you know that
That's
name?
my mother's name too.
How did you ever hear that name, Martha? Martha Wash from the Weather Girls. Hilarious. Fun fact: did you know that technically Diane Lane is a star of the Inside Out films?
I literally look at people's filmographies when you start talking about them. So yes, I see she voices the mom.
But you didn't know that beforehand.
No, I'm learning it now.
It's a very small part, obviously. And then the winner of the actress whose name sounds like a dude, Michael Learned as Dr. Bell, the older lady doctor character who shows up in some scenes to talk about being an older lady doctor.
You gotta give up on Karen. What
Uh,
when you took your doctor's oath, you had to know you had to give up on some people, right?
well, from a purely psychological or medical practitioner point, everyone had a point when they told her to stop doing what she was doing, but we'll get to that in a little later. But Michael Learned is, call her a legend of television is probably strong, but she worked for a long time. She was on the Waltons for like a decade as the mom. Then she was on a medical drama called Nurse for with Mike Brady, Robert Reed for a year. And she'll be known to me because I watched a YouTube video about it. She was on the Who's the Boss failed spinoff about a bunch of young models living together, living dolls. big start for Halle Berry and Leah Remini.
Looks like she played Bruce Lee's mother-in-law in the Bruce Lee biopic starring Jason Scott Lee.
We'll probably come back to that on this podcast.
I've seen clips from it. It actually looks pretty cool, but
I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. I just get weird. Me personally, just like someone else playing Bruce Lee never looks good to me. But all right, let's
someone
go.
dies tragically young, like Karen Brown. Someone will make a movie about it.
Cameron Brown versus Bruce Lee. Round one. All right, let's talk about the stuff. Okay,
Oh, you don't want to talk about John Amos,
no, we could discuss John Amos, Clue Gallagher, and there's one other one.
Mary Wicks,
Yeah, but down later.
queen of character actresses.
Yeah, I got character stuff on all of them, but that's in the character section. Let's do that. Let's talk about the ad campaign. This is always fun. So I'll talk about the title. Touched by Love is such a weird, dumb title. It's kind of generic. It sounds like a romance novel.
You have so many Elvis songs to choose from.
Love Me Tender. That's like a slam dunk.
You even could have called it To Elvis with Love, which is the name of her Lena's book.
Yeah.
Maybe there's copyright reasons. Elvis' estate didn't want that to happen.
So here's a question, because my best guess is Lena Canada is touched by her love that she feels for Karen Brown. Is that the touch by love, or is it Karen getting touched
Uh,
by the love of Elvis, or the love of Lena, or
there's a lot of touching going on. Don't cut that. And
touching me, touching you? That's not even.
because she's definitely touched by Karen, but I think the stories, well, it takes forever to happen, is about how Elvis and her improve her life through love, touched by love that way. More about Karen's and how Karen's touched more than Lena,
Yeah.
Lena, whatever.
Long story. Yeah. Long story short, make your title a little more emphatic. If you want me, but whatever. I mean, it's the perfect name for a TV movie, which this movie should have been. Anyway,
So TV movie. My God, it's ridiculous.
especially the visuals. But yeah.
It was probably a VHS rip, but still.
Yeah. The the poster is honestly freaking amazing. Especially the rendering of what Karen Brown looks like. Someone drew it by hand. It's very beautiful. I get notes of Andrew Wyatt's Christina's World. Tells a story about her medical condition without being demeaning. I love that poster.
That's what the movie was for, to make her condition demeaning. Or, well, maybe not demeaning.
Demonstrative.
Awkward because you know the facts about who's playing her and stuff.
It's
But
very demonstrative illness. What happens when you do an impression of someone with an illness instead of having an illness?
yeah,
We'll get to that. Well, I think we'll get to it
we
again.
have no choice but to get to that. If we don't, we're terrible people.
Yeah. So the tagline, three sentences in a tagline. That's just taglines. A true story, a courageous story, a love story that will touch you forever. There's too much going on.
Yeah, you can just do the last sentence, although it's vague, like the title. But and then
Courageous story is too pompous. Like they didn't storm Normandy or anything. I mean,
and both the title and the taglines make it sound like the title characters are going to get to effing, and that's obviously not what's happening here.
yes.
Could have been like I don't know, strength through the power of strength, the power of courage, or I don't know.
Not not this, but like not all wounds are physical or something. I don't, whatever, something like that.
We'll workshop it next podcast.
Yeah, get Gus Draconis' estate on the line, or
He dead?
I don't know.
Wikipedia says he's still alive. He was married to Goldie Hawn.
Wow. I gotta start directing movies about movies about dead children.
He was the husband before Bill Hudson, which is the reason why Kate and Oliver have those last names. And then
Yeah.
she's never married Kurt Russell. They're just partners.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Enough about
Uh,
Goldie Hawn. Let's move on.
so you watched the trailer?
I watched it right when I finished the movie, actually, because it was right there on the YouTube.
There was very, I mean, it was bad. It was just too long, but it wasn't. There was nothing. I never liked black screen with narration over it, and
That was
then
bad.
they showed most of the movie. I mean, it's just bad. It's just boring. But,
The poor person to cut the trailer. It's just there's not a lot to use.
yeah, but just
Like
just keep it short. Show the girl looking out in her wheelchair, and then that's all, pretty much all you need.
could have been a lot shorter and been like
Play
she
Elvis
could
over
her
it.
say like, "Do you like Elvis?" Or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, because the trailer basically, I mean, it's not really a spoiler movie because I mean it's very deliberate, but the trailer does give away just all the scenes in the movie. So there you go. Take a break with a trivia break. Uh, so because I'm very subtle, these questions are about people who were touched, i.e., considered crazy, or stories about love, aka pro tennis. Okay. First question: Nikola Tesla was a great inventor, but can you name either the number he was obsessed with or the gem he was pathologically averse to? Just a guess. Just take a guess. Whatever. Yeah.
Devin and Diamond. I don't know.
He was obsessed with the number three, and he was scared of pearls.
Huh.
Yeah. All right, time for a real question, I guess. Uh, at which major did a pregnant Serena Williams beat her sister Venus in 2017 to become the winningest Grand Slam singles player, regardless of gender?
1 in 4 shot. U.S. Open.
It's the Australian Open. Okay, talk about characters. No need to speculate on Lena Canada or Karen Brown for now because those are both contentious. Um, the movie did a good job of having like I don't know, recognizable slash good actors in the cast. I do have some thoughts. Like you mentioned, John Amos plays another guy who works there, and I thought he was underutilized in the movie. It's way too good.
Everyone in the movie either works there or is a patient. There's no
But
time.
he should have been in more scenes, is all I'm saying. He's a very good actor.
Yeah, they could like tweak the story where he's the guy who helps Diane Lane.
Then I have a plot question for you. Was that crazy, or did they say that Lena? Some people were saying to Lena Canada that she should hook up with Clue Gallagher, or did that just not happen? I thought her roommate or whatever it was like, can't you tell he's crazy about you know he's a young guy, he's crazy about you or something like. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She does say something about. I thought it was more general, like you need to get laid type of conversation.
So I mean that would have helped the plot a lot. Wait, hold that thought. Uh, Another thing that's weird about this movie is the roommate Monica.
I think it's Amy actually.
I, I have a weird theory about theory slash question slash thought because it's like this movie had a certain allotment of time with all of the actors and they couldn't use the side characters like they should have because there's so many scenes where there isn't a side character there to comment on what Lena Canada talking to Karen Brown. There's not a lot of cross referencing of characters. It was like they just shot a bunch of scenes with Lena and Karen, and that was it. And then like a couple piecemeal with each other side characters. For example, the way they shot Monica is every once in a while they're
They
in the
keep
bed.
calling her Monica. I see Amy. No,
Amy, the roommate's Amy.
unless Christina Rains played someone else.
Monica or Amy. Let's say Amy for now. They shot all of her scenes in Lena's room where they're roommates. So in a different movie, I kind of thought there could have been a twist where Monica was in Lena Canada's head because they didn't show her anywhere else but that bedroom.
Please, this movie is not no chance of being that clever to have fantasies and alternate realities and
And then there was this movie. This movie was disjointed because there was a scene because there's a kid there who's like pretty normal, and like halfway through the movie he gets taken home by his parents, and they do this weird scene where he's like, uh you guys should adopt this other sick kid too because he's lonely.
right. That was
Why didn't they show the sick kid again?
because it would have just been him sitting there doing nothing because he was
You could have talked to Karen Brown.
he didn't have the ability to speak or talk to talk or
It's just
react to anyone.
it's just so in the movie verse of this movie, it's like he got condemned to being alone forever, and we're never gonna see him again. Whatever. Bye.
Yes, that surprises me. We didn't worry about tightening up the screenplay to resolve all the storylines.
Plot needs more be more tight, Billy. Yeah. If I was doing this movie, I don't know what the restrictions were on side characters and or the script that Gus Draconis was given, blah blah blah. But like, they're doing all this stuff where Karen's feeling better, and she's like, it gets so repetitive. The way she's talking to Lena Canada, and it's like, couldn't you just throw in Clue Gallagher there, or have Karen Brown play with the boy that Clue Gallagher was with? It'd be so easy.
It is, yeah. Again, Hesper Anderson is a hint out she's not the greatest screen. You think Hesper's a woman or a man?
Hesper's definitely a woman. I actually had to look this up, but yeah,
Hesper's obviously not the best screenwriter. She's not even the linker on Wikipedia.
And they should have done more with Michael Learned. She should have realized that Lena Canada was a genius and apologized or something like that at the end. I mean,
She kind of does when there's a scene where she and Clue Gallagher say I think she even says we were wrong about you and Karen. She's doing so well. We just tested her and she's doing so well. The time you're spending with her is doing so much.
okay,
Was that enough of an apology for you?
fair enough. I just think there should be more integration of the characters. I almost feel like there was some limitation on their availability because it was kind of a remote location for the shoot. Maybe there was a thing where like they only have John Amos for X number of days, etc. They should have improvised or written.
Final product as presented. Uh, let me put a pin in that sentence. I guess we should take a break.
Yeah, we're back from break. You were saying, Marcus, something about the nature of
Well,
this,
so we're discussing this. We're on side characters and
their
plots or
misuse.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I think any more than any movie reviewed, especially in this Razzie era, there's literally no point to the side characters except in service to the Lena and um,
Karen.
Karen storyline, which I guess most movies do. You do have a main storyline, and that's why you call it like best supporting actor, best supporting actress, because they're supporting the main characters. But it's kind of ridiculous because when you look back on the movie, they only show the other kids playing to show the setting of where Karen is and the type of treatment she gets. Her coworkers only ever talk about Karen. It's like I'm like blanking. What's the name of that test where if you fail if the female characters don't talk about women,
Oh, the Bechdel test. Yeah, they don't talk about a man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the Bechdel test for main characters. It's just they
Yeah, the closest is that scene with the kid who gets left behind while the relatively healthy kid goes back with his parents. But, yeah,
really disabled, but at least aware of his surroundings and
yeah,
can function.
it's probably yeah. I don't know what the most polite way of putting it is, but yeah, he's. 'Cause, I mean, doesn't mean you're doing poorly if you have a disease. So this movie is great for awkward sentences. But anyway, let's move on a bit to the dialogue. Uh, yeah, just way too much of saying the one thing that's going on in the movie. It's like, what's going on with Karen? Oh, what's going on with the plot? Is Karen dying? Oh no, she's not dying, or maybe she is. Or Lena talking about Karen.
Uh, in defense of the dialogue, it's not very creative. It's not very original. And then my earlier complaint about the main characters still, supporting characters can't exist on their own in any way. It still stands. But the whole point of this movie, and the point of probably, I'm never going to read that stupid book by Lena Canada, probably very self-serving, is about the relationship between Lena and Karen, and how her spending time finding a common bond, finding something that Karen really likes, improved her view on life and whatever. I think the dialogue serves that well. I took note of a particular line of dialogue. Karen says, God forbid, I'm not straight to hell. God send me straight to hell if I try to enact how Diane Lane was talking. But she says, "You mean you love me?" And Lena says, "I can't believe you had to ask." I thought that was very sweet. There's a lot of sweet little moments like that between Lena and Karen. I think the dialogue serves it well. So I was actually
Well, I don't know.
touched by the main plot, I would say.
Yeah, practice is a lot more laborious and boring than you're letting on. But and I don't know if it's the best doctor behavior for a doctor to say things like, "You had to ask if I loved you." I mean, I get that.
There's different types of love, for Christ's sake. Not romantic
I'm
love.
not saying it's transgressive bad touch love. I'm just saying a doctor can't get too attached to their patients.
That is true. Michael Learned should have slapped Deborah Refn's hand from turning into Karen's private doctor. Um,
Well, that was the weird thing too, is that I kind of agree with you, but that's kind of how the hospital seems to work. Like Clue Gallagher adopted a son, basically.
and speaking of side characters, this is a good time to talk about it. The most normal girl in the hospital in the place, although they all have illnesses of some kind, is her quote unquote best friend, um, who likes playing doctor. Remember her?
Nope.
She's actually her roommate. They're separated by it's like a
Oh, they lost that
hospital.
character too. The characters fall by the wayside.
She they have a they should have cut the scenes out where she's like, "Boy, you're spending a lot of time with this Elvis stuff."
She asks
No, she
Lena,
said
sorry,
she doesn't know about Elvis. She says sorry.
with
She says
Lena.
she tells Karen, "Boy, you're writing to your pen pal a lot. Can you tell your pen pal if they have a pen pal I can write to?"
Yeah, and Karen even asks Elvis, but they don't ever address that. There's never like, yes, here's another friend who could possibly help with the writing.
Elvis only has time for one little sick girl in this town.
It was sad. It was like, yeah,
Yes.
Karen should be a better friend to her and not worry about fucking Elvis. But
but Lena has blinders on, and so in that way she's a terrible doctor.
Yes, and then I don't know, we're gonna talk about this otherwise. Well, no, I'll do it now anyway. Whatever. The whole idea of sending the letter to Elvis, Amy, if that is her real name, points out that's a terrible idea. What if Elvis had never written back? Karen gets sick, or at least bedridden, while waiting for the letter. If it never comes, she would it would have been a horrible ending to the movie.
I think it was pretty terrible, anyways.
I know, but the happiness she gets at the end that wouldn't have happened at all. Terrible treatment method.
Well, she legit dies at the end.
Just saying, writing a letter to a celebrity is a terrible idea. How would you know you're gonna get a response?
They address that in the dialogue too. Deborah Raffin says, "I know it's hopeless, but it was the only way I could think of to make her happy." And she even apologizes.
Think harder, doctor. Think harder. Okay, moving on.
Kara's a difficult case to make happy. I think legitimately.
Okay, I'm not gonna do an impression of it, but I want to briefly talk about the worst part of the movie, which is that Gus Draconis, or maybe even Diane Lane's parents or whatever, coached her how to play a person with cerebral palsy. We're not gonna do the impression of it, but it is a horribly affected impression. Kind of sounds like she's trying to like make her voice go lower. She's holding her breath. It's like a disgusting caricature of what one might imagine that illness is like, and it was inexcusable. They did not cast someone with cerebral palsy in that movie.
1980, they didn't think about things like this. Was there anything? There probably was someone with
I mean,
cerebral palsy in a movie before Breaking Bad.
like Children of a Lesser God, you have an actress do a deaf voice. That's not much later than this.
No, that was more progressive, and that was only a few years later. Yes, also that much more of a prestige picture in this, but movie that according to Wikipedia has a budget of 2.5 million.
All right, I just want to say that this. I mean, we can talk about a lot of plot things that are wrong with this movie and bad acting and stuff, but that choice of direction is makes the movie unwatchable and very difficult to recommend to anyone. I think it's fairly obvious point, but let's go to the structure. Let's take this long to get there. First image of the movie, it's very 70s. Lena's driving her car up the mountain. We get to see the beautiful woods leading into the camp with the kids in it. And kind of reminding me again of Robert Altman, like everything does.
Robert Altman is like the king of that 70s, like his name.
Yeah, you mean that was his prime, definitely that decade. Who's the protagonist of the movie? So this is interesting. Uh, on a like screenplay level, we open with Lena Canada driving, so it makes it seem like she's the protagonist and Karen Brown's like through Lena Canada's eyes. But I think the movie just kind of wants it to be both of them together, which didn't really
Well, I
match the opening of the
imagine
movie.
based on essentially an autobiography by Lena Canada. I imagine the book was like in a book like that where you're writing a story about your it's kind of like I'm sure Lena wanted in the book that she's kind of the narrator and Karen's the main character. But in a
Yeah.
movie, you can't really do it that way because you have to do them interacting. So it's about them interacting together. I'm okay with you have to sometimes give movies two protagonists, and I think it's a double protagonist movie.
No, I don't have a problem with double protagonists. I have a problem with one protagonist driving their car to the camp. That's a very, very, very protagonisty move. But yeah,
She's gonna get hired. I think it's fine to start with when
they
she
could
got
have
hired at the
they could have shown Karen in the
or
camp
whatever.
before she drove up there to do a dual protagonist intro. But very minor point, but valid.
It's not really a camp. It's more of a home for disabled people.
It's in
That
the woods. It's campy.
boy is it campy. Double on double. Some wordplay there.
Yes. Yes. Uh, so yeah, the ordinary world of the protagonists, the movie doesn't really care that much. I mean, Karen's been sick for a while. It's been ongoing. She was basically what's the word? Not mute, but like unmoving, comatose almost.
very depressed about
and
about
then
her situation.
they don't really
Yes.
go, they don't go into Lena Canada's backstory at all, which is weird because it's based on a true story. But she's a young woman, wants to be a doctor or psychologist or whatever, and goes to work here. But that's there's no
Nope.
there's no explanation of that.
Yep. Could have had some dialogue saying, "Oh, I'm fresh out of college and wanted to get to work," or
Or I'm getting my
um,
PhD or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Was tired working at a big hospital with people that didn't really need my help." That type of thing.
Yep,
It's a mystery. It's
yep.
a David Lynch movie after all.
So another weird thing about this movie is the what do the protagonists need to improve their life, get out of what they're in. I guess there's a general thing with Karen is that she needs to. This is weird too. She's not going to get cured of her disease.
No.
She's not gonna live to adulthood in all likelihood. But I guess she just needs to be happy with her lot in life, kind of.
Yeah, she needs to kind of in a like more brutal than I intended saying this, but enjoy the ride.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Be happy, and then
She got dealt a bad hand in life, but she can't. There's no point being super depressed all about it all the time, you know.
and another flaw with this movie is that, and I get based on true story, you know, for example, on a show like ER, they don't have to have the doctor doesn't need a personal reason to grow or whatever. But Lena Canada is fine. She's like a happy, chipper woman who wants to help kids, and she wants to help Karen. But where is the need for growth in Lena Canada as a protagonist?
That's what makes it so. It's a very TV movie thing where you kind of push that all aside and it's just focused on the case at hand. That's basically what this movie is.
It's like it's like a TV show kind of like yeah, medical
So
TV.
just she's a Florence Nightingale superwoman character who just wants to make kids happy and feel
Yeah,
better and help them with their
yeah.
medical care or whatever. But
I think that's what slows down the dialogue is that there's nothing for Karen to push back on other than you're not being my friend or my doctor. There's nothing else pushing Lena Canada to think about something else in the whole movie. It's too movie's too long. Well, it's long
she
short of it.
sort of becomes it works out that she's kind of an outsider where everyone who works there is kind of giving up on Karen. It's
Yeah,
actually kind of fair to give up on Karen because it's only so much you can do. And then she has a novel approach compared to everyone else, which is what you get when you base the movie off uh, probably a woman trumpeting her own success.
I don't think in a negative way. This is just a employed psychologist, doctor, or whatever she is, and there's not a lot of nuance to that. I mean, she's already taken the oath to help people and stuff. I mean,
Hence our TV movie comparison we keep making.
yes. Time for another trivia break. Salvador Dali was known for ostentatious behavior. Some people think it was a put on. Some people think he was crazy. Like when he took what animal, mammal of suborder Vermilingua, out for walks around Paris.
Cheetah?
Anteater. All right.
Whatever. I thought I remember him taking Cheetah Walk. Might be a Mandela effect thing. Moving on.
We might have done both. But the thing I was looking at didn't have cheetah on there. Plus or this is a dumb question, whatever. Plus or minus 1 hour. How many hours did John Isner and Nicholas Maheu spend playing each other in the first round of Wimbledon 2010?
I might get the question wrong, but I believe the final set was, and the tiebreaker was, or no, there's no tiebreaker in the final set. That's why it went so long. It was 60 games to 59 or something like that. Whatever. I screwed up because that's being margin of two. That's the point. Um, 8 hours. They had to play it over 2 days.
I think it was technically 3 days, and it was 11 hours 5 minutes. I would have taken 10 hours to 12 hours. Yes. All right, back to the plot. Uh, what event changes the lives of the characters and sucks them into the story? Uh, the movie, I think, kind of truncates this. It's probably just that Lena Canada was expecting to work there in general, and then she meets Karen Brown and is like
Oh,
fascinated by the case or whatever.
yes, I guess that's the initial sucking in, because then that leads her to try things to make Karen happy, like wheelchair her out to the river or whatever that was, to
Pond, I think.
whatever, to a body of water, to a let's build a fake cabin out here, and then
Oh yeah, let's build. Oh, that was weird. Let's build Graceland. Your Graceland work was really shoddy, by the way, children.
I was gonna say sucking in was, I believe, because they take the kids to town to buy stuff at
That's
a
later.
convenience store.
That's
That's
it's just too late in the movie. But yeah, but you're on the right track. That's supposed. I think all the Elvis stuff is supposed to be the mid-act twist of like, how do I reach these kids? Elvis.
Richie's kids.
Yes, Eric Cartman is my hero. But anyway,
So,
uh,
so I don't recall it, but I guess the initial sucking is what you're talking about, but then the sucking of the Elvis component, which whatever. Yeah.
well, movies have a lot of what's the word, cycles. So it's like first she gets sucked in to help Karen, and then Karen, despite this, there's an initial boon where Karen starts talking and being healthy, and then Karen gets way worse. So the recycle is the Elvis thing, which is the end of the movie. So it's like that's the third act, which we'll get into talk about in a second, I guess. But the weird thing for a movie like this, what's the fun and games often implied by the poster? Obviously, this movie's not exactly fun or full of games because it's kind of sad and tinged with death and all that. But yeah, I guess just Karen talking more. Even as a child actor, Diane Lane's a pretty good actor, so her talking is interesting. Mm,
It's just the connection.
yeah,
The you know all these like the miracle worker type movie. It's probably the most famous
yeah.
example of this, but it's
Water,
the
water, water.
pulling your heartstrings about making people who are in
Yeah.
desperate situations feel better.
And then I do think it structurally comes too late in the plot for fun and games because the movie just ends, and I think that's more of a movie being weirdly edited problem. But the Elvis stuff is obviously what you're waiting for, and it's like the only novelty in the movie is the Elvis's voiceover and the letters and the records and stuff. Like, I mean, that's so much fun. So yeah, and then yeah, the movie, what obstacle comes along at the midpoint to take the protagonist's joy away from them? Dark Night of the Soul. It's not clear.
I would say there's something.
Well, okay, let me try to guess first. So yeah, it's just Karen gets sick and
Oh,
more resistant.
that too.
But
But I was gonna say that there's a big gap in time between Karen sending out letters and actually getting a response. She gets dejected. She's happy,
yeah,
and then she gets dejected for a while, and the letters slash packages eventually come.
yeah. No, the movie's too short slash lacks a true big climax. But I think you're right. I think the movie just sort of truncates the ending
I can't remember if it was
structurally.
Michael, because Michael Learned, or maybe it was the roommate scolds Lena for getting her hopes up because
It was
The lack
mostly
of letters
Amy.
coming back.
I agree. I agree with Amy. You shouldn't have sent the letter, but whatever. I mean, the smart thing would have been done. Lena Canada secretly writes a letter, sends it to Elvis, doesn't tell Karen. So then there's no waiting and getting depressed.
Well, but there is a thing. It's actually somewhat clever, I guess. Whatever. Uh, they actually want all the kids to write and type throughout the movie to work on their motor skills.
I understand, but you still could have had an Elvis letter coming without Karen getting nervous and getting sick and stuff.
I see what you're saying. So the first one, and then I wrote that one, but you have to write the rest of them, Karen.
Because she can still type whatever crap she needs for typology class. Whatever. I don't want to talk about this anymore. So when the motivating action that comes along, yeah, the Elvis letter comes back. Again, the movie ends too quickly, but that's basically it. And then we get the quote unquote exciting climax of Karen energetically writing Elvis a bunch of letters. That's how, the exciting action this movie can muster. Letters. Wow. And
She,
then yeah,
yeah.
that's the climax of the movie, which feels pretty abbreviated. I mean, I guess you can't have a child with cerebral palsy do too much exciting stuff in their life.
Well, the audience needs to see an ill person in a movie like this, like Miracle Worker. Needs to see the ill person turn their life around. Otherwise, it's a depressing movie, especially with
No, I
kids.
know, but there could have been more. She could have gone to an Elvis concert or something. I don't know if that would have fit the book or the budget. The budget's more likely.
They go to the movies.
They could have done that better too. Then shot
It
that more
was it was a
cinematographically.
I was actually kind of excited because I was like, is it going to be like Blue Hawaii or Jailhouse Rock? But it was a black and white footage from a concert
Yeah, this movie
in the
didn't have
movie
like enough
theater.
budget to make a good pretty much anything, but yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. So then I know this is based on a true story and it makes total sense, but it did again remind me of very of a stark 70s type ending because she's all happy and then one day one of Canada just finds her dead body, Karen's dead body.
It was
I
a wet wet slap type of whatever you call it.
damp not damp fish, something like that. Cold. I don't know what I get
Wet
confused.
fish, wet fish,
Yeah.
red fish, blue fish.
It was disappointing. Yes, I'm well, that's not the word either, but whatever. Yeah, I had some ideas for an ending that would have been better. I think it would have been that hard. Karen's funeral would have been a little harsh to watch, but we could have played off of that.
You see
Or
it? Oh, go ahead.
the
Say it.
my favorite fake ending is cut to later years. Give Deborah Raffin some old age makeup. She has kids of her own now, or even just as a young same age has kids of her own, and is telling them about Karen or something.
You
That's your ending.
Listen to Elvis or something, or
Yeah, that's a good ending.
literally it's any could have used anything where it's about what Lena learned from Karen. And that's the kind of boat. It's like it is only a $2.5 million budget, so they probably I don't know if they ran out of money or it was supposed to plan out this way, but it's not. I didn't. It was way out of left field for that movie to end with her the dead body and Lena's arms.
Yeah, they could have done something as simple as she goes back to the pond. There's some evidence of Karen there, like the maybe the Graceland toy, and she looks out. She's thinking of Karen and crying, and she sees like a wind blow a leaf. That's all you need. That's all you need. Because that's yeah. We can just go into that. Yeah, the characters didn't. There was no change of character from beginning to end. You can imply that Lena Canada became a deeper, more sensitive, caring doctor or something, but the movie doesn't show that or anything.
No.
Obviously, Karen's dead. She was happy. The movie, we just do the
You ever
exact same.
see
And
you
yeah,
ever see
what?
Simon Birch?
What?
You ever see Simon Birch?
So I did see the end of it, but
Well, there's a similar ending where the special child dies, and then it's the impact that he left on everyone around him.
I was gonna say all you need, not even a fancy ending. Do what they did. She dies. You show the pond where the credits are gonna roll, and you just like show a nice picture of Karen smiling. Because all you need to show is that Karen was happy despite the fact that she died. It's sad that she died, but she was happier before she died than for all of her life before that. Okay, enough about this movie. All right. So like I mentioned, the closing image is the just pond footage. You know what the footage they had of the wildlife while they shot the movie, and it does actually fit the beginning of the movie. Problems with the screenplay, but opening image, driving through the woods. Closing image, vanity shot of the woods. It's a very woods movie. Mind blowing, I know. Any thoughts?
Very, very one setting. Well, they do one town type movie, like a TV movie. Keep going back to it.
Yeah, it was like a general store with very nice magazines, by the way. Yes.
That's how exotic it got. Or maybe the movie theater, but
That was about it, aside from the driving.
yep.
Uh, another trivia break. You know you're an OG crazy when they call you Mad King, like Ludwig II, who would hold private theatrical performances. That doesn't sound too bad, except that he would perform the play by himself and no one else was allowed to attend. Ludwig was king of what area? Now a region of Germany.
Prussia.
King of Bavaria. What woman is the only tennis player ever to achieve a golden slam, winning all Grand Slams in one year and a gold medal at the Olympics in that same year?
Steffi Graf.
Yes. Structure of the movie, it's not great. Just my general thoughts. The scenes kind of become repetitive and just speak the general issue. If you're going to do it like that, you should have made it a lot shorter. It could have been an hour long or less. It's very weak structure. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
Well, touching movie of the week on
Yeah,
ABC or whatever.
yeah, which would have been an hour or less, or commercials at least. Skip the pacing link, whatever. Well, okay, we talk about this to death. Visually, the tone is the TV movie of the week. It could be a VHS rip thing, but it was very flat, uninspired outdoor shots and uninspired two-person indoor scenes.
I think it looked okay. I mean, again, this was a VHS rip we watched or whatever, I assume, but this was actually directed by, sorry, DP'd by an Oscar nominated DP. He was nominated for Camelot, number one, but he was nominated for Camelot and something else.
You know what? Sounds fancy.
Oh, probably made mostly for the special effects, but the infamous, I guess, the 77 King Kong.
I have to watch that for myself to have a fair judgment. But yeah, that movie is a pretty controversial ranking. King Kong's a weird movie in general. But yes, I've heard that's pretty bad. Does got Jeff Bridges in it though, so and Jessica Lange. You never know.
He was nominated for Oscars, but it didn't look too great. It was very simple, obviously, viewing, very repetitive
Maybe we'll see what the
setting.
Stinkies or whatever the other movie award show had to say about it.
Bad stinkers or whatever.
Yeah, that was pretty close. Okay, in terms of movie tone, this movie was a little ahead of its time because, as I'll probably mention again, Terms of Endearment won Best Picture 3 years later, or I think its year of release is 3 years later, and pretty similar plot, like
I'm old.
character depressed about dying of diseases.
You don't think melodramas were
Yeah,
around by now
no, I
in
shouldn't say like
1980?
that. Whatever. It's like Terms of Endearment, whether or not it was original or not. It was not original. Okay, there you go. Fine.
There's even movies. I'm sure there's plenty of movies about sick kids, like Miracle Worker. Well, it
Yeah,
wasn't the same type of illness, but um,
the same idea. Yeah, Helen Keller. Yeah, Helen Keller has just as much problems as yeah. So
tearjerkers are, yeah, forever.
so in terms of originality, I think we talk about this a lot, but it's kind of bolstered a little in originality because if it's based on a true story, that's kind of
It is.
cool. Yeah, so that's cool. And but the Elvis letters as a plot, it didn't leave me
I
super
mean,
interested.
the cerebral palsy thing is
It'd feel
unique, I
important if it
guess.
wasn't a normal child being directed to do it.
And the Elvis thing. But you, my 1980, I imagine there were so many stories about how I'm going to get through to the sick child that's depressed.
Let's talk about this now, actually, because yes, this movie falls in line. Terms of Endearment, like I mentioned, and then before this movie came out, Coming Home about paralyzed people, Brian's Song about dying of cancer. This movie just falls in line with this sort of TV movie, cheap movie,
And
injured sick people paradigm.
for some reason, Columbia wanted it to be a feature.
Yeah, I don't know why. Aside, because the only one that makes sense is Diane Lane, but that was in retrospect, not the time. So I guess John Amos. They got John Amos and Michael Learned and Clue Gallagher. They're like, it's a steady cast.
And my girl, Mary Wicks, who acted all the way back in Now Voyager, and so she had
Oh yeah, she's great too. She was barely in the movie, but she's a great character actor. She always plays fussy
she was
old
too nice in
ladies.
this movie. She didn't get to play her wheelhouse of calling out Betty Davis for saying something stupid in a hospital at work or something.
She did a lot of sitcom stuff into at this era too, though. But anyway, I think we talked enough about the marketing. It's just there's not much there. It's just John Amos and Michael Learned maybe, and it's an emotional story, so women might like this movie. I guess is the idea. But, yeah.
Get the yep people who like watching inspiring stories crowd,
Hallmark Hall of Fame. It's
but in a movie
way before that
theater.
came out, but yeah. This way before Hallmark Channel too. But yeah. Uh, all right, another trivia break. Mad Jack Churchill was a British Army officer who charged into World War II battles carrying what musical instrument?
Just say it because I used to play it. The clarinet.
He carried the bagpipes.
He's very mad. Yeah, that's
So, try to get this out. The Battle of the Sexes was a big tennis thing, I guess. You know, it wasn't a big thing. The 2017 biographical drama, The Battle of the Sexes. Tennis player Rosie Casals was played by Natalie Morales in that movie. For one imaginary trivia point, can you name the NBC sitcom in which Natalie Morales played Tom Haverford's love interest Lucy?
oh Tom Haverford makes it easy. Parks and Recreation.
Yes. For 10,000 imaginary trivia points, can you name the incredibly short-lived 2019 NBC sitcom in which Natalie Morales plays the owner of a backyard bar? The show is titled after the name of the sorry. The show is titled after the name of the bar, which is in turn a possessive of her character's name.
Susan's Place.
You did watch this show a million years ago. It's called
Try it. I
Abby's.
remember that too. It's horrible.
Yep, pretty much.
What was it called?
Abby's, like a place owned by Dear Abby.
Or like Arby's, but a typo.
I want Arby's. Arby's getting a Grubhub. That's the only reason this podcast exists. Probably gonna run out of time. Sure, taking a break. All right, let's talk about the awards nominations. And oddly enough, this movie got, well, I guess subject matter wise, pretty lock and key with the various academies. This movie did get a real nomination. It was nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes for Deborah Raffin. Lost to Mary Tyler Moore in Ordinary People. Looking at the five, even the winner of Moore, it's not a
We're
great year
talking about
for.
the Golden Globes, right?
Yes.
I was gonna say Mary Tyler Moore got nominated for a Razzie.
No, I just said Golden Globes.
I didn't hear that part. I apologize.
Okay, let me finish. What I was saying, top five of the Golden Globe noms, even Mary Tyler Moore winning. It's not a great year, so you could argue that Deborah Raffin could sneak in. But I don't think Deborah Raffin is a award-winning type actress, at least based on this performance.
I do want to
Uh,
watch. I did watch Ordinary People and Mary Tyler Moore. Have you ever seen it?
no,
It's kind of in a way wickedly evil in that movie. It's kind of fun.
yeah,
Uh, but I haven't seen, and I want to see both Roman Polanski's Tess and John Cassavetes' Gloria.
hmm. Anyway,
I don't
they
know
didn't really
about
talk about
Resurrection. I've never heard of that. Starring Ellen Boost and
I didn't really get to talk much about my direct evaluation of Deborah Raffin's acting in this movie. I thought it was really bad and led to the unintentional comedy appeal of this movie. It's very loud, very
because she's loud.
try hard. And it
She's
just,
dealing with sick kids. Of course, she's trying hard.
yeah. I didn't think it was very good. I thought it was kind of sloppy. Just the way she talks, even, is a little weird. So I wasn't a big fan, but it was goofy. It was entertaining to watch for parts. So there. Yes. Speaking of Deborah Raffin, in a feat that will probably be duplicated many times with the stupid Razzies, but she got a Gold Globe nomination. She gets a Razzie nomination, losing to Brooke Shields for the Blue Lagoon. Before you say anything about how terrible Blue Lagoon is, I actually think these two performances go together pretty well because Brooke
Oh my
Shields was
God.
too young and had an inane script that insulted and sexualized her teenage thing. It was gross. Then Raffin was an adult, lots of try hard over emoting, and but her movie made more sense. But her movie was less exciting and less well structured than the Blue Lagoon. So I think Raffin and her career overall, and even head to head on these two movies, is not lacks a basic emotional nuance of an actor. So there's pluses and minuses on both sides. They're pretty similar to me.
I think the problem with this movie are solely based on the screenwriting and the direction and the framing of the movie. Deborah Raffin plays a nurse who's trying to care about sick kids, and I believe it. And I believe she's a loving, caring nurse to her patients. I don't know if she should have been nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes, but she should have not been nominated for the Razzies. She plays a believable caretaker, nurse, doctor type in this movie. And
There's gonna be two separate paths of analysis. That's fine, but yes, I found it very, very goofy. But you found it believable, so maybe you're right. Viewers can judge for themselves because everyone's dying to watch Touched by Love on YouTube. There was another nomination. I was kind of surprised to find that it was not just a one and done lazy acronym by the sexist proprietor of the Razzies. Uh, uh, Another woman being perpetrated. Hesper Anderson was nominated for worst screenplay for yeah, this movie, and losing to the Greece-based production team that gave us the horrible screenplay to Can't Stop the Music. Um, both movies are bad. Both movies have certain trashy things that make them interesting. But the fact that Hesper Anderson was a working screenwriter as a woman in the 70s, this nomination is kind of a joke and an insult to her estate or whatever. So I think Gus Draconis could have been nominated for worst director. It would have made a lot more sense to me. Yeah.
Hesper Anderson didn't do a good job. I think she has more problems than Deborah Raffin.
I mean, Gus Draconis is responsible for the abuse of a child's acting in this movie.
I think maybe the casting director is the worst person. Uh, in a way, I think this is written worse than Can't Stop the Music.
It's fair. Can't Stop the Music definitely had more verve, in part because it's a musical, but there's more energy and things happening and stuff. Yeah, yeah. It's a bad screenplay. It is, but I don't know. I'm, all my criticisms of this movie, I am kind of forgiving to stories about people and happiness and not feeling bad.
Unless it's Deborah Raffin, then you're not forgiving.
I'm not saying she's the worst, but it was very silly, and I would not nominate her for a Golden Globe.
Should have been a Razzie, but I made my point. I move on with my life.
Well, the Razzies did like 10 nominations for Best Actor and Actress, which is insane. So just by osmosis, she should not be nominated for Worst Actress because this movie's too boring for the Razzies.
Certainly can't name. I'm not a 1980 film historian, so I can't tell you the 10 for sure worse than this, I suppose. But I
But
would say Brooke Shields is definitely way worse.
yeah, I mean, actually, a lot of their nominees are weird this year for Worst Actress, so, but yeah, because yeah, First Deadly Sin, Faye Dunaway, also not that bad, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead and rate the movie rating score and how it rates in the Pantheon.
uh, Something give us the lowest score possible because of the whole able person playing disabled, which is dreadful. Can't study, no matter how good of a studier you are. You can probably get really close, but it's unethical to have an actor play someone with a disability like this. But this is a movie trying to pull your heartstrings, and I think it succeeds to a certain extent. So it did do that, but it is overall a terrible movie, TV movie quality, like we kept saying. It's not looking back on it, doesn't age well with the trash that Gus Trinikis or whatever his name is. I don't care.
Draconis, yeah, you got it.
Did It's a very forgetful, slightly heartwarming movie. Uh, Give it like a 3.5. Definitely in the lower echelon, but nowhere near as bad as of a hot mess as Blue Lagoon, I would say. It's better than other things like the formula and the island and change of seasons too. So it's talking myself and making it one of the better Razzie movies, I guess. But it's definitely it's definitely pretty terrible. Not the worst, I would say.
Yeah, my reason's not that different. This movie's incredibly boring. It's hard to describe because it sounds like this is what drama movies are like. Two characters talking about how sad the one character is for the whole movie, but good movies just have better ways of breaking it up or having more nuance, more subtlety. This movie is very repetitive about the woman and the girl arguing about how the girl should feel better. And it just gets very obvious. And Elvis letter was a bizarre way of trying to build excitement into a movie. Uh, and honestly, boosting this movie for me and probably annoying you is there are certain clips of obvious. Well, yeah, Deborah Raffin delivery on some of her emotional parts is a little silly, and then it, I couldn't show it to anyone, but certain clips of Diane Lane's weird hold breath cerebral palsy talking is so bizarre. It almost demands to be seen. And I don't know, the movie's competent, it's upbeat. I like that it's based on a true story, even if it is a self-serving, misleading true story of how I'm the greatest doctor in the world. Make me your doctor. But I bought it to a certain degree, so I'll give it a freaking 4.5 out of 10. It's pretty high for me because all these movies are terrible. I don't know. This movie's so hard to rank because it's pleasant. It's got good performances from every supporting character who's not one of the main characters. I love John Amos and blah, blah, but and etc. But it's just not well made. It's got like one location and then shots of the woods, and it's almost not a movie. So I'd actually probably put it pretty low. I think it goes just above like the island because the Diane Lane thing's pretty unforgivable, and it's not a real movie, so don't watch it. So it's weird. It's okay when you're watching it, but from a distance, it just feels worse. This movie is multitudes, like I said earlier. It's good and terrible. All right, one last trivia break. These are a little harder than I thought they were gonna be. Nicholas Cage is crazy, or so I hear. He claims to have purchased a pyramid-shaped tomb for himself. Kind of sounds like a plot from National Treasure. What sitcom actor, and in a touched by love way, played a guy with Down syndrome when he didn't have it in Geely? What's the name of that actor who was Cage's sidekick in those movies?
Also, the guy who got kidnapped in two of the three Hangover movies, Justin Bartha.
Yes. And like the last tennis question,
Oh,
pretty
no, he
hard.
didn't get kidnapped, whatever, but you know what I mean.
Disappeared, and they thought he was kidnapped.
He did get kidnapped in the third one.
Which I didn't watch. Right. And
Spoiler
what?
alert.
Spoilers, Jason didn't watch it. Yeah. In what year did Rafael Nadal hang on to beat Roger Federer for his first Wimbledon win?
2006.
There was a margin of error giving it to you. It's 2008.
Right
So,
after, right after he graduated from college. I thought it was while we were in college. Okay.
so this movie is historically viewed as good. So it might be too good for our Razzie podcast. We'd still have to discuss it with something else or something. But see what your opinion is once you find out what the movie is. Time to guess the next movie. It's our first worst supporting actor nomination. That is exclusively or primarily worst supporting actor. Not worth explaining that. Okay, first clue. This movie is produced by Sam Shaw with music by Rocky composer Bill Conti. There's a lot of famous people involved in this movie, so the first clue is dumb.
Is this Gloria?
It is Gloria. So I've seen
I did
Gloria.
googly eyes when I said I wanted to see Gloria.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on. But so I have kind of mixed feelings. I've seen Gloria. It is not the most impeccable Academy Award winning movie, despite its reputation,
And being directed by Cassavetes.
and obviously the historically underrated Jenna Rollins.
We could watch the remake if you want to.
Hmm. It's got to be trashy enough. I want to watch that. So let's see.
It's directed by Sidney Lumet, so it might not be trashy enough.
Could be interesting. Could be interesting though. Looks boring, is what it looks like. It's got George C. Scott in. I'll fucking watch both. All right, it's been decided. Two titans of the industry making two versions of the same movie. The pictures I saw looks just like the 1980 one. It's kind of depressing, but
Happens with a lot of remakes.
so we got Gloria versus Gloria next week on Twin Wheel. Any other closing thoughts, Marcus?
So I need to talk to you about offline, but
We'll do that offline then. Next time on Twin Wheel, where you can get your free. Book me on your shows, or let's be best friends and hang out, maybe. I don't know.